What up, guys? Dr. Vic here, and you're listening to Health by Dr. Vic podcast. And I'm excited to have you here. Second episode. Excited to share this with you guys. Getting into a lot of the psychology of health. I talked about a little about the world of health in our first episode, and this one's going to get into looking at the elements of really understanding the complexity of how complex we made health and really how simple health really is. And I'm going to break down the two because being a mindful coach, mindful mindset coach, I'm all about mindset. And with my patients, when I'm serving and helping them, I used to always try to, as much as I could, if they're open to it, share mindfulness type practices because the mindset was the big thing. And my whole purpose and goal when I'm coaching chiropractors is you have to change the psychology. You got to shift people's mindsets in order to understand what health really is. You see, because in the mind, if we let our mind dictate our life, it's going to create more resistance and more complexity. Okay. When we follow things or let other things guide us, like our heart, right? Our deep passions and what really wakes us, like really inspires us and gives us something that we can take on after we leave this world. It's really simple. There's not really a lot going on there. And I learned this as a chiropractor because I remember growing up when I was 19 years old. I'll never forget the fear I had. I just moved to Phoenix, Arizona. I was going to Arizona State from Chicago. And I was conditioned for the last 6 years, from 13 years old on, that exercise and nutrition is health. That is the baseline to your health. You do that, you'll live a very long and healthy life. And so here it comes, 19 years old. I'm taking supplements. I was taking vitamin D back then. I took my spirulina for and I had a multivitamin on top of that. I took about 5 or 6 different vitamin B I was taking. I took about, 6 or 7 different supplements. And I've been doing that for a little bit since I was like 16, 17. I had a protein shake, which I thought was clean at the time. I don't recommend protein shakes, but it was at the time when I was taking. I had a decent diet. It wasn't the cleanest, but it was, not bad. I wouldn't say it's like grass-fed meats and all that I eat now, but it was, it was a lot cleaner than the standard college. I didn't eat a lot of processed foods. I didn't eat bags of Doritos. I didn't eat chips. I did live off ramen noodle though. But anywho, so that wasn't the greatest. That messed up my gut in so many ways. But what started to happen in my life, because I played rugby for the club team at Arizona State, and I never worked out more in my life. I mean, 2.5 hour practices, Tuesdays and Thursdays, games on Saturday, sometimes games on Sunday, sometimes Friday and Sunday. And I still worked out 4 days a week, lifting for about 35 to 45 minutes. And so I did all that with my nutrition, and I'll never forget, after September, in September, I started to notice I had allergies. Weird. I couldn't take deep breaths. My heart felt like it was ready to explode. My chest was tight. I wasn't used to the dryness. And people were saying, you're going to have to get used to this. This is usually common when people move here. And I'm like, okay, fine. But what started to happen every month is I had new symptoms showing up: digestion issues, sensitivity to light, headaches every morning, fatigue. I was always tired, no matter how much sleep I got. I was always tired. And I had yellowness in my eyes sometimes, and I had acne on my back. Never had acne in my life. It was really weird. Cold sores showing up every 7 to 10 days in my mouth, one of them. There was just so many signs and symptoms, and it just kept getting worse and worse over time, right? Multiple systems, not like one just specific. It was multiples. And I started to get a little nervous. I remember in March, end of March, I told my mom, I think it was end of March, April, I was like, hey, Mom, I got a lot of things going on. I don't know what's happening. I'm tired. I'm this. I don't feel good. I'm still working out. I'm still playing rugby. I'm still doing all those things, but I'm just not 100%. I think I have some blood disorder because there's too many systems being involved, right? And so I'm thinking complexity. I've been conditioned that way, right? If I have something wrong, man, it's got to be all these different things. I need to go to a doctor and get lab tests and blood work and see what's going on and what's the standard procedures I'm gonna have to do and all this stuff, right? So long story short, it's gonna take like a month to get into I was coming back home at the end of May, and so she's like, "All right, well, it's gonna be about a month. They can get you in June, beginning of middle to end of June." And she's like, we'll get you in the end of June. So it worked out. So, okay, great. So week before, give or take. And my mom looks and goes, why don't you go to see Dr. Frank? Now, Dr. Frank was a chiropractor I saw when I was a kid. I don't know, 9.5, 11. My mom's been going to him pretty much since I was 1 year old. And I said, all right, can he help? Can you get me in quick though? And she's like, yeah, let me. She called, got me in the next day. She's like, just go, see what he says, and he'll be able to help. So I went there. And long story short, here's complexity, right? My mind was thinking complexity, lab work, what's going on with the multiple systems. I need to go to every single specialist to know what's happening because I had digestive, I had acne, thought I had liver stuff, I had this going on, I had all this stuff. I may have to see some sleep. I'm thinking all this complexity. Yet I go to the chiropractor. He evaluates me. And he looks me right in the eye and says, I'll help you get rid of all your symptoms before you go back to school. I'm going to be seeing you a lot. He's like, but you're going to have to go to chiropractic care for the rest of your life. You have scoliosis. I was like, okay. And whatever I have to do. And he's like, and you're going to have to go to a chiropractor you have to get your chiropractor when you're in Arizona. I said, no problem. I'll do whatever I have to do. And so here's the kicker. I almost got caught into a complex world. And instead, the path was simple. First, get your nervous system cleared. Make sure everything's communicating properly. It took care of all my symptoms. Heck, 4 months later, I was in the best shape of my life. Literally, had an 8-pack, 10% body fat, and I was weighing I got to as low as 212.5 pounds. I'll never forget. I went to the bathroom in the Arizona State after working out. I went to go on the scale, and it was 12.5, 212.5. And I was like, holy cow, this is the lowest I've ever been since. I was actually less weight there than I was in my senior year in high school. And so what am I sharing all this for you? Why am I sharing my story? The reason why is because the medical system is really based upon mind, logic. This is the way. Here's the only thing that's going to help you. Here's the process, right? And it's a very complex system. It makes health seem like we have everything wrong with ourselves. And you have to do a gazillion tests just to see. I mean, when you really get into this mindset, you really grasp what I'm saying here, you're going to start to see the complexity of it, right? And there's just so much of what possibly could go wrong rather than what could be possibly right with the body. And when something shows up, it doesn't mean it's the most detrimental thing in the world. Body is always going to create what it needs, not what it wants. And so if you have pain, or if you have a symptom or this, that means there's something going on that the body's creating that to get your attention, but also letting you know it has to do this because of what's happening. And the correction can be as simple and easy as just getting adjusted, right? Now, I'm not trying to promote chiropractic care at this moment, although chiropractic is one of the biggest things that I recommend for anyone to do with their health. But what was interesting is I also, the process to health can be, well, I could have went down that path. Could have taken all these drugs, all these different tests. Who knows how long that process would have taken? I've seen patients go for years with multiple tests, not knowing what's going on and so forth. They end up coming to me. And then all of a sudden, within a few months, the whole thing is taken care of. Their body has healed. We've built a system around it. We looked at what we can do to promote more health in the body and so forth, right? Because health really is a simple process. We've been told it's not, but it really is. You're genetically designed to be healthy. We know that in the genes, we've seen it. And so when it comes to your health, here's the most simplest thing. Medicine tries to alter your environment to suit you, which is never good because the environment's always changing. So it may work now. It's not going to work later. You're going to have to do something else, change that. That ain't going to work. You have to change that. That ain't going to work. It's just going to, it's so complex. Or you work on you to be more adaptable to your environment. Simple. Because if you want to know the definition of health, and I shared this in the first, it's all about adaptability. And if you can give your body, put it in an environment of health, it's going to adapt and thrive. You're giving it what it needs. So let's look at that. What is an environment of health then? Well, I already mentioned one, chiropractic. You got to make sure your nervous system's clear. You just have, everyone should be under chiropractic care. It's not because I'm a chiropractor. I would be saying this if I wasn't a chiropractor because of my experiences of what I went through as a chiropractor, getting adjusted as a patient first. The second is your nutrition. What do you eat? What do you drink? What's the air you're breathing? right? Do you use more toxins in your detergents and your soaps and all that, or do less? What's your toxic load you're putting into the body every single day? So that's number two. Number three is your exercise, your movement. Here's the thing. We are supposed to be moving to feed your brain 100% because movement feeds the brain. We need to be walking or moving 13 miles a day. 13 miles a day just to feed our brain. Think about that for a second. 13 miles a day. No, I struggle to do that, and I'm moving a lot. I try to move as much as I can. Now, when I was in practicing all the time, 13 miles was easy. I had a big, long office. It was over 100 feet deep. And I had 4 adjusting bays. I was moving through them all day in and out, 5 to 6 hours a day, 5 to 6 hours, 3 days a week. I get anywhere from 16 to 18 miles a day sometimes. And so it's one of those things where you have to be mindful, get out and move more. Okay. How are you sleeping? How's your mindset? How's your emotional health? How much are you being exposed to technology, electromagnetic fields? These are things that are either going to set you up for success or set you up for failure. That is the essence of health. That is health in its generality. So if you do those things, you maximize every corner and every facet of how you can benefit yourself from a healthy perspective. And when you start to do that, it changes your life. I've seen it in my own life. I've only been doing this. I am still a patient. I am still a patient in every aspect of things. Just because I have a doctor in front of me doesn't mean that I know everything. I don't. As older I get and the more knowledge I obtain, the more I realize I don't know as much. It's fascinating how that works. I was told this from many mentors of mine that they go, watch, the more you do, they're like, the more you do what you do in chiropractic, the less you're going to realize how much you don't know. It's just going to be a fact. And I was like, I don't think of that. I was Mr. Know-it-all back then. So I'm like, I don't think of that. I know the stuff. I'm studying all the time. I'm going to know so much by the time I get to 38 or 40 or 50. I'm 38 right now over this recording. And I look and I go, I can't tell you how many times I tell patients, don't know. I don't know. And they go, what do you mean, don't know? Like, Doc, when am I going to feel better? Don't know. Nobody can tell you that. Well, how long do you normally think the pain? Don't know. You just got to trust the process. Nobody knows. Well, why do you think the pain's here? It could be 1,000 reasons. What do you mean? Well, I can give you a physical one, but that physical one's not going to be the source. I can give you an emotional one. That may be the source, but it could be. Don't know. It could be what you're eating. It could be not sleeping well. It could be all of the above. I don't know. It could be something from when you were 4 years old. It could be something when you were born. It could be something when you were in your teenage years. I don't know. There's so many endless possibilities. But here's what I do know. If we focus on creating a healthier environment for you, your body will thrive. Will the pain go away? Eventually it will. Will this happen? Yeah, eventually it will. You'll restore back to balance, or I shouldn't say balance, more adaptive. And that's the key to health. That's what helps us thrive. So when we look at our health overall, that is the elements of what we want to look at. Again, coming back from simplicity, right? Making a simple process like that of just simple things, the body will restore itself. You see, we got to get out of the mindset of treatments. The medical world is a treatment-based model. It's a destination-based model, right? Because if you have no symptoms, what's the purpose of going to a doctor? If you have no symptoms and they run and you feel great and you have no anything going on, you're not going to think about going to a doctor. You only go to a doctor when there's something wrong. That's sick care. I mean that from a medical side. Going to a chiropractor or going to someone who's holistic, you can be perfectly fine and feel great. You can still go to them. You're still going to benefit because we're going to maximize on that. You can have symptoms. We can work on that also. But it's not a treatment because what we do is we're focusing on creating a healthier environment. You see, and when we create a healthier environment and we support that, the body will respond. There's no treatment for that. You put anybody in a healthier environment, they're going to thrive. And I can use this as business because I show this in business principles too, in my business coaching that I do, is that you can put somebody in an environment that's scarcity mindset, and they're only going to see scarcity. But if you put them in an abundance mindset and put people who are abundantly thinking, then all of a sudden they'll become abundant in their own self because you're in that environment for success. The same thing happens with dogs and training. You never want to set up your dog into an environment that they're going to fail at. It's horrible for them. That's going to make it so much harder to train. But if you put them always in an environment for success, no matter how easy it is or difficult, you want to make it easy first. They're going to adapt so much quicker and better when it comes to learning the tricks that you want them to learn. It's just cool how that works. Dog psychology. I can't tell you how many times I use this with children. I use this with coaching and so much more because it's so true. Set them up in an environment for success. So that's what I want you to remember in today's podcast today. how are you setting up your environment for success when it comes to your health? If you don't know, I have a chiropractor, reach out. I'll reach out. I'll get you connected with one. I have a vast network of people who I connect with, friends I have that are good, not just because they're a friend, they're good at what they do. And, we get you connected with one who can really help out and change from your life. If you're looking at it from a nutrition standpoint and things like that, I do coaching. I have some online classes that I can offer and share with you. Right now, we're making a few of them as we speak. But if you're looking for someone who can help you truly elevate your life from the ground up, hey, let's reach out. I do a coaching and I help on all elements to really, really help from the ground up. We look at nutrition, movement, supplements. I look at lab work if you have it already. If not, I'll recommend some type of lab work if you want. Because these are good indicators for me to know where you are and how we can correct these parameters. Again, this is not for a treatment. This is to help establish healthier systems in the body, again, supporting that process. And then if you have conditions with that, it'll usually help with that process also. Sometimes I have to modify things a little bit for some conditions, but not usually. And, there's some other things that we'll do to help look at the overall grand picture and help with that. So that sounds like you. Hey, hit me up, healthbydrvic@gmail.com. Check me out on my socials, and let's have a conversation. Appreciate you guys tuning in. If this is the first time listening, please subscribe. I'm assuming it is. It's only our second episode. So definitely subscribe. Don't miss an episode. We do one a week. I'll be sharing something on health. And then also, if you like this podcast and you like the episode, please share a review on Apple or wherever you're listening. And also, if you're inspired, pay it forward to just share with one person that they could benefit from this. I appreciate it as always. Until next time, take care.